Great day, CWC Life family. I am here with our pastor, Pastor Angel Menchaca. And we are here because we are going to discuss leadership and what it takes to really rise to the occasion when we're in crisis. And so as I was contemplating and thinking about this and asking Pastor this early this week, I said, Pastor, would you be willing to go on the air and to share about your examples of leadership and what you would do in certain circumstances like this? So I've labeled this discussion as Crisis Leadership 101. How to lead community through crisis, and what can our CWC Life family do during this time? So I want to thank you, Pastor, for giving us an opportunity to share your wisdom, the download that God gives you in order to help us during this time.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome.
It's always an honor to just share anything I can to benefit others.
Awesome. So we're going to start with a bit of an icebreaker.
Okay.
So that way we get to know Pastor a little better. And the question for this icebreaker is, who was your childhood hero and why? Who was your childhood hero and why?
That would be an easy one. Growing up, it'd have to be Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet, stronger than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, look up in the sky, all that. And I guess what I really enjoyed about Superman was his commitment to keep order and to rescue those that were found themselves in peril or in danger.
Awesome. Good. And so would you say you're a DC or Marvel? Or?
You know what? I can't really get caught up in that debate because I know, especially online and those watching us and even in our church, you got those on both sides.
All right. Well, the next question I'm asking you, which is an icebreaker before we go into asking the questions, is, and I think you can actually answer it for those of you that are watching. So you know what? You won't really need to answer. For those of you that know the answer, please just comment below. And that is, if you could go anywhere in the world on vacation, where would you go? And so I think they kind of know that one, right, Pastor?
I think from this past Sunday, those that were tuning in would know exactly where I would go for vacation. Yes.
All right. So hope you were paying attention so that way you can write down the answer. So now we're going to get a little bit serious. And we're going to begin our first question. And that question is, how is the new experience shaping you? This new experience that we're going through right now, the pandemic of COVID-19. How is this new experience shaping you, A, as a person, and then B, as a leader in our community?
As a person, it's made me more reflective, and it's given me time, like everybody else, I'm sure, to pause and to consider, what is it that really my heart misses about life during this pause? What is it that I really value in life during this pause? And as a leader, what it's shaping me to understand the importance of flexibility. Because the reality is, when we say we've never gone through something like this, in this case, it's really true. And so it's a new experience. It's a challenge that is unprecedented regarding our lifetime, and it requires, for me as a leader, learning the art of being flexible.
Yeah. And as a leader in that community, how would you kind of apply that to?
Regarding leadership in the community, what this has shaped me to recognize or really pushed me to move forward in is being a hope injector. Because just watching, hearing, connecting with people, one of the things that I see is really the need of the hour is hope. And as a leader, I feel my responsibility is to make sure that I'm communicating the hope that there is, regardless of what we're going through right now. There's still hope.
Yeah. And even though this may be a new space, a new time, but with newness comes growth. And with newness comes reflection. With newness, there's an opportunity to see the potential that we all have in community.
Right.
The third question being, how can CWC contribute or participate in today's crisis so that we too can be part of the solution? And so there are many times where people have been asking, well, I want to get involved, but I don't know how, or what should I be doing as someone who attends CWC and to be active and engaged. And so kind of wanting to share, what do you see as some of those solutions, Pastor?
I think the scriptures talk about in Galatians 6:10 that we should be caring for the needs of others, especially those of the household of faith. It begins there. When it uses a term especially, it is saying this is where your concern initially should be, among those within your household. But then it also leaves way to reaching out beyond those with that are part of your household to those that are outside of the household of faith. And I know that even though our hearts desire to help during this time, for some of us it's challenging because of restrictions, but still there are ways that we can help. You know, for instance, I think of ministries like Convoy of Hope, even Samaritan's Purse, these ministries that are really right now on the ground, whether it's providing meals, whether it's setting up hospital stations there at Central Park in New York, or even ministries like the Dream Center that right now they've given over, I know at least over 30,000 meals, if not more, since the crisis began. People are driving through, so we can support them monetarily. You know, you can go to Convoy of Hope, you can go to dreamcenter.org, you can go to Samaritan's Purse. Those are ways. The other way, I think, is checking especially on our seniors. It doesn't cost much to call one of our seniors, whether it's a grandparent or a member of our church that's up in age, and see, just to connect with them and ask them, how are you doing? Is there any way that I can practically help you? It can be from picking up groceries for them and assisting them in that way, and even just a simple connecting to let them know you are still valued, you are important, and we want you to know that. I think those are practical ways that we can help, and just looking out for one another.
Yeah. Awesome. And I know that goes a long way to do the heart work that is needed in our community. And I know that CWC Life has always been about investing in community. And the next question that I have is actually a three-part question.
Okay.
And this comes out of a book called Know What You're For by Jeff Henderson. Talks about kind of like the brand, the marketing, but also about community and how you engage in leadership. And so he recently sent out an email. If you're subscribed to his email list, and he'll send emails out about every 1 or 2 times a week. And so I really like these questions because it really helps us understand the short term and the long term. And so that question is, before the crisis, what would you say is essential? And then during the crisis, what have you done without? And then lastly, after the crisis, what do you need to leave behind? So in short, basically saying, what are we keeping? What are we tweaking? And what are we stopping?
Well, the first question, it would be food. You know I love to eat, but seriously, I think it's those extra things that we enjoy about life that, as life has been paused, we recognize aren't as important. And I'm talking about going to the movies, going to different places of amusement or entertainment that we enjoy in life. We're recognizing that, yeah, those are fun, but when it comes to the essentials, The essentials are connecting with family, connecting with friends, and also recognizing the need to, as I mentioned earlier, to make ourselves available to be an instrument of hope. Because really, when it comes down to it, what we really need in the midst of this crisis is the hope that there is a better tomorrow that we can look forward to. And I think, Eddie, for me as the lead pastor of CWC, that's what I really feel the responsibility for, and as a key component to keep guard, preserve, no matter what season we're at in our ministry or in life, is continually being a proponent, a proclaimer of hope.
Yes. Yep. You're a hope dealer.
Mm-hmm.
A hope dealer.
There you go.
All right. And this next question is, where are you looking for new inspiration? And how are you getting inspired in order to inspire others?
Well, the way that I deal with moments like this, seasons like this, is I love to read stories of people before us that have gone through tough times. I'm not a history major, no way, but I do like certain historical figures that have inspired me. I think of Winston Churchill and how he rose to the occasion in a time when England needed a voice to offer them not only leadership but hope. I think about, in our time, Abraham Lincoln, in our country rather, who in the midst of trying times, decided, I'm going to use my gift and position to help navigate our nation and to inspire them with hope. And I look for people, like Craig Rochelle, who's a great leader. I look to them for inspiration. Other men like John Maxwell, people that have proven themselves to be leaders, not only when times are good, but when times are tough. I look to them for inspiration. And above all, I look to God's Word. Because throughout the Scriptures, we see that there have always been crises. There have always been challenging times. But both God's people as well as the individuals within His community, their stories in the Bible inspire me to know that there's always hope, and there is also encouragement drawn from them that gives me the ability to endure, to persevere.
Yeah. And your sharing reminds me of Nehemiah and the building of the wall, and
yes,
and we at this time really are seeking out those individuals that are continuously to be hungry and ready and able to engage even in times like this. And so it's just very thankful that you've shared that, because it gives us hope, and it gives us an opportunity to see that leadership is possible during these times. Do you believe we are on top of the constant change in our culture?
What I do believe is this, that change is always going to be. And change is accelerating. And so that means that what was current today is not going to be current tomorrow. And for me, it is important to, like the scriptures speak about, the sons of Issachar, who were aware of their times and knew what Israel ought to do in light of their times. I think that for us, it is imperative, especially in leadership, to keep our sensors out and be aware of what are changes that are right now occurring, as well as those that are being forecasted, and learning as fast as we can, how can we adapt for those changes or to those changes, so that we continue to lead effectively and productively.
And I also think of the kind of, in leadership, the more we become comfortable is the more when people begin to question our leadership, and that we always have to be out doing, I would say, just being ready, being ready to take on those leadership positions, being ready to be available, being ready to support the team, because leadership is not only about the one person leading the charge, but a group of people coming
Right.
together to support the needs of that leader moving it forward.
Mhm.
And the last question that I have for you, and this is an opportunity for us to really be able to read at home during this quarantine time in COVID-19. And so, what inspirational book do you think everyone should read during this quarantine time? Which book do you think? And this also applies to National Library Week, which is this week.
Awesome.
And so we're hoping that you can encourage us with a book that we can then go out, whether it be on Kindle or get a hardback, paperback, and just being able to sit at the sofa and read. So what is that book?
I would say You'll Get Through This. It's by Max Lucado. It's a bestseller. It's on Kindle as well as you can order it on Amazon. But it's the life of Joseph. And I love at the end of Joseph's life, he made a declaration, or towards the end, he made a declaration to his brothers, you meant this for evil, but God meant it for good. And I think that even the evil that has befallen our nation at this time, we can have the confidence that God can turn it around for good. And that's why I love the book, because Max Lucado does a masterful job at showing that how throughout the different crises that Joseph went through, God proved himself faithful to him. And it's inspiring. Besides that, you got to get the collection of Curious George. I love Curious George, and I've read through the collection of Curious George. One day I purchased it at Costco, and I was wondering, why is it that I'm so intrigued? Well, one, because I'm a curious person, and I was, like they say, travesuro, or just because I was curious and I wanted, okay, why not? And I fumbled myself forward into something that maybe I shouldn't have been because of that curiosity. Travieso is the word I was looking for. And it wasn't that I meant to get in trouble as much as that I found trouble, okay? Because of curiosity. But the other thing, I wondered one day, why is it that I'm so intrigued by it? It's because of the fact that no matter what kind of dilemma he would find himself in, because of his curiosity, he could count on the man with the big yellow hat. Awesome. It was like if that was a father figure to George. And I think that's why I love that book and the collection so much, because it reminds me that I too have a father who is looking out for me.
Awesome. Yes, and we will get through this. And curiosity is, again, something that we're all going through, especially during these times.
Yeah.
And thinking about, okay, so what's next? Or what should we be waiting for? What are they going to tell us next about COVID-19? But it's okay.
Yeah.
Relax. God's got you. You got this. And so we just want to, again, just encourage you during these times of crisis that He is in control.
Yes.
And that God will see us through this challenging time. So I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to our Crisis Leadership 101, How to Lead Community Through Crisis, and what can our CWC Life family do during this time. And so we hope that this piece here has helped you look through that lens and that perspective. And so thank you for joining us, and see you soon.